ugh, that sound. You know the one. That little flourish, maybe some dramatic strings, a beach sound effect. It's like the universal signal for reality TV, right?
Yeah, and to hear it, you know what you're in for.
Exactly. And it's huge, isn't it? Reality TV is just this massive part of how we entertain ourselves. Millions watch for the drama, the romance, sometimes just, well, how absurd it all gets. But what happens when the reality starts feeling a bit shaky? When the audience and even people inside the show start asking questions?
That's where it gets interesting.
Yeah. So today we're doing a deep dive into one of the absolute giants, a real titan of reality TV, the Bachelor franchise. I mean, it's been around forever, promising love, delivering drama.
For sure. It's a cultural fixture.
But when you look closer, like our sources did, you find this really fascinating mix of things going on. There's this huge external push for change, these really strict internal rules about secrecy, and then this really dramatic recent shift in how they make one of the spinoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. And our mission today really is to unpack all of that for you. We want to give you the full picture beyond just what you see on screen.
Okay.
So we'll look at the whole history of the diversity issue, the calls for change that came from that. Then we'll sort of pull back the curtain on the rules, how they keep those massive secrets.
Right.
And finally, we'll dig into that huge fan reaction to the changes in Bachelor in Paradise. What does it all mean? You'll get a much better sense, I think, of all the forces shaping this thing.
Sounds good. And we've got some great material to work with. We're drawing from a Betches article that really breaks down this diversity petition. Then there's this fantastic Refinery 29 piece about how contestants actually managed to keep quiet for months.
That one's fascinating.
Totally. And for the fan reaction, we dove into a pretty lively Reddit thread from the Bachelor subreddit. People had feelings. Strong feelings about the new Bachelor in Paradise.
Oh, I bet. Reddit doesn't hold back.
Not at all. And we'll sprinkle in a bit of context from TV Guide, too, just about, what other reality shows are doing out there. So, yeah, should be quite the dive.
Let's get into it.
Okay, so let's start with something that's honestly followed the show around for years, like forever. The lack of diversity on The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. It's striking.
It really is.
Our Betches source highlights the statistic that's just, well, it's upsetting. In 18 years, across 40 seasons of the main shows, only one Black lead.
One. In 40 seasons.
Yeah. Just sit with that for a second. One, it's not like, oh, they missed a couple. It points to what the article calls a greater pattern of complicity, something systemic.
Right. It's not just an oversight at that point.
And this wasn't exactly a secret critique, but things really came to a head in 2020. With everything happening, the conversations about race, Black Lives Matter, ABC, the network, they just couldn't ignore it anymore. The pressure was building up.
And what's really fascinating here is, like you said, this wasn't new. And even the host at the time, Chris Harrison, had made comments over the years that, looking back, kind of reveal the franchise's mindset, maybe.
How so?
Well, think about 2017. Rachel Lindsay was the Bachelorette, that one Black lead we mentioned. Harrison described her contestants, saying, it's a very diverse cast, but at the same time, very professional.
Okay.
See, it sounds maybe okay at first, but why add very professional? Does diversity somehow imply a lack of professionalism?
Ah, right. Like he wouldn't say that about an all-white cast.
Exactly. Many people pointed that out.
Yeah.
It suggests this weird separation, maybe even an unconscious bias, that diversity and professionalism are somehow separate things you have to comment on. It's subtle, but telling.
Wow. Okay. I see that now.
And it wasn't just that once. Like just last year, talking to journalism students about casting diverse leads, he said something like, you have to take it as it comes, because then it's organic and then it feels right. And he added, you can't force things.
Force things. Like casting diverse people is forcing it.
That's how it sounds, right? It frames being proactive about diversity as somehow unnatural, inorganic. It kind of justifies sticking with the status quo because anything else would be forcing it. It's a very passive way of looking at it.
Yeah, that framing is definitely problematic.
And then even more recently, like last month in a radio interview, he did sort of admit they lagged behind on diversity, but then quickly added, we've done much better in the last few seasons for sure.
But did the fans agree with that?
Well, that's the thing. His sort of self-congratulatory tone there really didn't match the feeling among many fans who were getting increasingly frustrated and were starting to demand very specific actions. There was a real disconnect.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that disconnect, that fan frustration. The Betches article says it really peaked in the weeks leading up to June 2020. What was driving that specifically?
A couple things. First, the franchise's official social media was basically silent on the whole Black Lives Matter movement that was happening. They posted a black square like a lot of brands did.
Right, the Black Square Tuesday thing.
Yeah. But for many fans, that felt really insufficient. Like performative, no real statement, no solidarity, just silence otherwise. And that silence felt loud. It fueled a lot of discontent.
I can imagine, especially when everyone else was talking about it.
Exactly. And then you had Rachel Lindsay, the only black lead they'd ever had, speaking out really forcefully. She called the lack of diversity embarrassing. And she had that killer line.
Oh, I remember this one.
Yeah, that a black person is almost as likely to become president of the United States as they are to be picked as the Bachelor.
Ooh, that lands hard, especially coming from her.
It really does. It carried so much weight because she'd been through it. And then, almost like adding insult to injury, they aired this special, The Bachelor, the greatest seasons ever.
Oh, yeah, that was during the pandemic shutdown, right? To fill time.
Right. It was meant to be this fun look back. But instead, it became this disturbing reminder, as the article put it, of the whole race problem. Because two podcast hosts, Kay Brown and Chris Burns from The Bachelor, actually timed it. In the 3-hour premiere, which was supposed to be showcasing the best moments, they calculated that black people were shown speaking on screen for only, wait for it, 14 seconds.
14 seconds.
Yeah,
3 hours.
14 seconds.
That's not even accidental. That's practically erasure.
It's incredibly specific and shocking.
Yeah.
Just perfectly illustrated that the problem wasn't just who got cast, but who actually got screen time, who got a voice, whose story got told, even in a retrospective.
Wow. Okay, so given all that frustration, that incredibly low bar, what were people actually asking for? It wasn't just general do better vibes. Right?
No, not at all. That's where the Bachelor Diversity Campaign came in. They launched an Instagram account, a petition, and it laid out 13 really specific, concrete actions they wanted ABC and Warner Bros. To take.
13? Okay, like what?
They broke it down really well. On screen, they wanted a black lead for the next Bachelor season, and they even suggested Mike Johnson, who many felt should have gotten to the season before.
Yeah, he was a fan favorite.
Definitely. They also demanded a commitment. At least 35% BIPOC contestants every season. A clear number.
Okay, measurable.
Exactly. And a zero-tolerance policy for racism on air, which seems obvious, but clearly needed saying, plus, crucially, equitable screen time for BIPOC contestants, directly hitting that 14-second issue.
Makes sense. What about behind the scenes?
Yeah, that was key, too. They asked for a BIPOC diversity consultant to be hired, someone to oversee everything, casting, editing, the whole production.
So embedding diversity into the process.
Right. And more thorough vetting of contestants to try and avoid those situations where racist stuff from their past pops up later.
Yeah, that's happened a few times, hasn't it?
It has. And they also asked the show to provide resources for viewers, like links or info about BIPOC stories and organizations, using the platform for good, basically.
That's a great idea.
And then the final demand, maybe the toughest one, a public apology from ABC and Warner Bros. For, and this is the quote, enabling systemic racism within the franchise, plus a clear plan for how they'd improve.
Wow. Asking for an apology for systemic racism? That's huge. That's admitting fault on a big level.
It absolutely is. And you know what? The impact was massive. In less than a day, 50,000 people signed that petition.
50,000 in a day?
Yeah. And tons of former contestants, big names, Rachel Lindsay, obviously, but also Tyler Cameron, Ben Higgins, Caitlin Bristow, they all signed on and promoted it. It showed this huge wave of pressure, both from fans and from people inside Bachelor Nation.
So what does this all boil down to for you listening to this? It really shows that this isn't just fluff TV, right? It's a space where big cultural conversations happen and where collective voices, your voices, can actually push for real change in massive media franchises. It makes you think about what we expect from the entertainment we consume.
Definitely. It shows the power of demanding better representation.
Okay, so that's the pressure coming from the outside, pushing for change. But now let's pull back the curtain a bit and look at the pressure inside. The intense, almost obsessive secrecy surrounding The Bachelor.
All right, the spoiler culture is huge, but the show fights hard against it.
Totally. I mean, think about keeping a surprise party secret. It's hard enough. Now imagine keeping your entire relationship, maybe an engagement, secret from literally millions of people for months.
It sounds impossible.
It almost is. This Refinery 29 piece we looked at really gives you a sense of it. It points out that by the time we see these stories unfold, they've been marinating for at least a couple of months. The contestants have lived it, gone home, and are just waiting waiting to see how it all gets edited.
Yeah, waiting to see which version of their story makes it to air.
And of course, you have the spoiler hunters, right? Like Reality Steve and all the social media sleuths trying to figure everything out beforehand.
They're relentless.
But the show's producers, they have this whole system, this whole legal and honestly psychological framework to keep things locked down.
Yeah, zooming out, the level of confidentiality they demand is pretty extraordinary. It's not just a casual, please don't tell anyone. It's baked into the entire experience.
How formal is it?
Very. David Ravitz, who was on Becca's season, confirmed they sign all kinds of paperwork, confidentiality and whatnot, basically legally binding agreements saying you won't talk about anything behind the scenes, any relationships that form.
Nothing.
A total gag order.
Pretty much. But Ravitz had an interesting take on it. He kind of framed it as a give and take.
Oh, yeah.
He said, look, contestants get to experience really cool things, potentially meet a life partner, and in return, the deal is you need to give the studio full confidentiality and give the show the respect they deserve.
So it's positioned as part of the bargain for this amazing experience.
Exactly. It highlights how much the contestants value being on the show, enough to agree to these really strict terms.
Yeah.
Secrecy isn't just a rule, it's like the price of admission.
Okay, so they signed the papers, but how isolated are they during filming? Like, really cut off?
Oh, it's extreme. And it's definitely by design. It creates this bubble to ramp up the emotions, the connections, the drama.
Can they tell anyone? Like, their family? Yes, but with caveats. Bibiana Julian, another alum, said ABC doesn't want you in a cave. So you can tell close family. But
There's always a but.
always, if your family is going to appear on the show, like in your intro video, or crucially, for hometowns, they have to sign confidentiality agreements too.
Wow, so it pulls the whole family into the secrecy web.
Yep. Extends the circle. And think about the real world stuff, like your job. Julian said she was a rule follower, so she only told her boss in HR, and even then she was nervous about gossip.
Yeah, I wouldn't want my coworkers knowing I was off trying to get engaged on TV before it aired.
Exactly. And Ravitz's story is even crazier. He'd quit his job because he was starting business school right after filming.
Okay.
So while he was filming, completely cut off, his acceptance letters were arriving. He had to make decisions. His brother-in-law had to manage all of it based on a spreadsheet Ravitz left behind.
No way. His brother-in-law was accepting him into MBA programs for him.
Based on a spreadsheet. Because Ravitz was, as he put it, beyond unplugged. No phone, no computer, no internet, no TV. Totally disconnected.
That's intense dedication. Or insanity. Maybe both.
Julian actually said that after the initial anxiety of no phone, she found it kind of refreshing. No emails, no texts. Just focusing on connecting. Like a weird, high-pressure vacation.
I can sort of see that. Forced digital detox.
But the rules are strict. Remember when Ravitz fell out of the bunk bed and went to the hospital?
Oh yeah, the bunk bed incident. Epic.
He got to FaceTime his family then, but only to reassure them he was okay. He stressed, we weren't talking about the show, we were only talking about my health. Even in an emergency, the lockdown held.
Wow. Okay, so filming ends, they get their phones back. Is the secrecy finally over?
Not even close.
Yeah.
The challenge just changes, right? Now it's about managing what the public knows or thinks they know.
Yeah.
It's a whole new game.
How's
Well, social media becomes a minefield. Bibiana Julian said you have to be super cautious about everything you post before the show airs and while it's running. Producers actually advise them on what's okay to share.
like controlling their Instagram grid?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And for the people who don't win, who get sent home early,
Mm-hmm.
Ravitz said the biggest spoiler for his friends and family was just him showing up back home.
Huh. Yeah, kind of gives it away if you're back after 3 weeks.
Right. So he said he tried to not give as much information as possible, wanting them to just watch it with him later and see how it played out. Kind of a clever way to handle it.
Deflect and delay.
But for the winners, the engaged couple, that's where it gets really wild. Julian talked about the happy couple weekends.
Happy couple weekends. Sounds ominous.
It's basically these secret meetups arranged by production. The couple is young, in love, and totally undercover. Think costumes, wigs, and hats to meet up in secret locations.
They actually wear wigs.
Apparently. Sunglasses, hats, wigs. Full disguise mode so they aren't recognized before the finale airs. Julian called it like your own little vacation, but you can't really go anywhere or do anything.
So bizarre. Luxurious prison, kind of.
It shows the incredible lengths they go to preserve that final reveal. It's everything to the show's narrative arc.
Makes sense. What about other relationships, like on Paradise?
Similar deal. Julian said if she'd left Paradise in a relationship, producers would set it up for you, arrange secret meetings in safe spots. And even among the contestants themselves, Ravitz mentioned a grapevine. Word trickled down about who got engaged before it aired.
So the contestants kind of know.
Some might hear things. Julian admitted hearing about big off-screen drama while the show was airing, like when Ari dumped Becca for Lauren, but she emphasized, you don't want to say anything until the finale. There's still that code.
It's like a secret society within the show.
It really is. This careful dance of managing information, public and private, is just fundamental to how the whole Bachelor world operates.
This whole inside look, it really drives home how managed reality TV is. It's not just editing. It's this intense effort to control the narrative before it even gets to editing.
Exactly.
And for you watching, it means understanding that every seemingly spontaneous reveal, every relationship milestone is wrapped in layers of this secrecy and orchestration. It doesn't mean the feelings aren't real, necessarily.
Right, the bubble can create real feelings.
But the presentation is incredibly controlled. That secrecy itself becomes part of the engine driving the show. It's a reminder that this kind of high-stakes entertainment involves a lot of behind-the-scenes maneuvering. Okay, let's switch gears now to one of the fan-favorite spinoffs, Bachelor in Paradise, which recently went through a pretty massive overhaul.
A very noticeable one.
And our Reddit deep dive shows fans were, well, let's just say they were vocal. The top post we saw, just flat out. The new production for Bachelor in Paradise sucks CKS.
Doesn't mince words.
Not at all. And a lot of people immediately jumped on this comparison, saying the new style was giving Love Island.
Ah, the big competitor.
Exactly. Or someone else described it as like a Brimmer trying to be young and hip amongst the Gen Z crowd. Just felt off, inauthentic.
Trying too hard, maybe.
Yeah, and one commenter was really direct, saying, Love Island USA is a huge reason why BIP is struggling. So that competitive pressure seems really front and center in people's minds. They felt like BIP was chasing trends instead of being itself.
And if you look at the context, that makes a lot of sense. Our TV guide source gives us a peek at Love Island USA on Peacock. It's described as this reality romance sensation.
The girds.
Yeah, and the format is intense. People in a villa fall in and out of love at warp speed. New episodes dropping almost daily for like a month. Plus, there's a $100,000 prize at the end.
Okay, yeah, that's a different beast entirely. Daily episodes. And cash.
Totally. It's fast, it's flashy, it's high stakes in a very tangible way. They even have Love Island beyond the villa to keep up with past contestants. It's a whole ecosystem.
So Love Island sets this really high bar for modern, fast-paced, high-drama reality dating.
Exactly. And you could see why Bachelor in Paradise producers might look at that and think, uh-oh, we need to shake things up to compete. They were likely feeling the heat, trying to capture that same younger, constantly online audience.
Right. So, okay, they tried to shake things up. What specifically did fans hate so much, according to Reddit? What were the big complaints about the new production?
Oh, the list was long and detailed.
Wow.
A huge chunk of it was just the aesthetics, the way it looked and felt. People complained about nonstop, fast, choppy cuts.
Like jarring editing.
Yeah, and a weird camera filter.
Yeah.
Someone said the new version was physically unenjoyable to watch.
Yeah.
That's pretty harsh.
Physically unenjoyable. Wow.
Right. They mentioned things like the slow motion walks as everyone enters with the music, very cliche reality TV stuff, and names in large Netflix-type fonts, making it feel generic.
Less unique BIP charm, more generic streaming show.
Precisely. The color grading got slammed too, oversaturated and overexposed. Hideous. Trying too hard to look bright and glossy, maybe like Love Island, but it backfired for these fans.
Did anyone mention the intensity of the editing?
Oh, yeah. One comment even claimed it was very close to needing a seizure warning, which is obviously extreme, but it shows how visually overwhelming and unpleasant some people found the new style.
Yikes. Okay, so the look was bad. What about the feel, the substance?
That was maybe an even bigger issue for people. They felt it lost its authenticity, its charm. Comments like, completely different and way less intimate.
Less intimate? How?
Well, part of it was feeling it was overproduced, and the new setting has no charm. The overall vibe was just off. Many felt everything is so scripted now, not even pretending it's kind of real.
So, more fake feeling.
Yeah, like watching bad scripts with bad actors, and those dream sequences they added, where contestants acted out little fantasy scenarios.
Oh, I vaguely remember hearing about those.
People hated them, called them unforgivably cringe, unnecessary, and said they just made everything feel more scripted. It was seen as pure style over substance.
Okay, and the setting itself, you mentioned it had no charm.
Right. People got really nostalgic for the old place in Mexico. They described it as having tiny huts piled on top of each other, being tightly woven, with a small private beach. Basically, a confined space that naturally created drama.
Like a cauldron for drama, as someone put it.
Exactly. That phrase came up, this new, bigger hotel, described as a big, giant, generic monstrosity. Gentrified blandness. People felt the contestants just got lost in it, and the tension is simply gone. The physical space really mattered to the vibe.
Interesting how much the location impacts the show's feel. Okay, so the production style, the setting. What about the actual content? The casting, the format?
Huge issues there, too.
Yeah.
According to the Reddit critics, a lot of people found the cast so boring, just no one interesting, and a real lack of those A-list people from Bachelor Nation that usually draw viewers in.
Like, no big fan favorites.
Fewer than usual, it seemed. And there was this feeling that the contestants all know one another already. They've communicated and partied together at many back events.
So less like strangers finding love, more like friends swapping partners.
That was the critique. Like a weird friend group that swap around or a closed-up club.
Yeah.
It killed the potential for fresh drama or unexpected connections for many viewers.
Yeah, that would feel different. What about relationship development?
Fans felt that was missing, too. They aren't developing these characters and their relationships either. Just felt like a bunch of hit and misses. People felt contestants were trying to coin their characters, like creating a brand instead of just being themselves.
Performing for the cameras more overtly, maybe?
Perhaps.
Ooh.
And then there was the big structural change, mixing the younger contestants, the youngins, with older Bachelor Nation alums, the Goldens.
Right, like bringing back people from Golden Bachelor era shows or just
Or-
older seasons.
Yeah, combining them with the fresh faces from recent seasons. And fans largely hated it. One person said it let the helium out of the balloon of any drama. Just deflated the whole thing.
Why? Different life stages, maybe.
Probably. The feeling was, Goldens are great, but why not give them their own BIP? It felt forced and awkward to just mash them together.
Okay, that makes sense. And the cash prize. That feels like a huge departure for Bachelor shows.
Massive. And people called it out. The introduction of a cash prize portion was seen as making it bulls. It shifted the focus entirely. The old goal was to find someone you want to get engaged to, but adding money just made it feel like any other game show.
Undermines the whole journey for love thing.
Completely. And finally, people noticed less intimacy and group interaction. Contestants seemed to couple up so damn fast and then just stick together instead of mingling and creating that messy group dynamic that BIP was known for.
So, faster coupling, less organic drama. Got it.
But, it's important to say not everyone hated it. While the negative voices were loud, there were definitely people defending the changes, or at least understanding them.
Okay, what was the counter-argument?
Some felt the production value has improved tenfold. They liked the faster pace, thought there was more to watch. For them, it was actually an improvement.
So some people like the slicker, faster style.
Yeah. And others argued the show needed a refresh desperately. They felt it had become dated and hemorrhaging viewers, so any change was necessary for survival. Sticking with the old formula wasn't working anymore, in their view.
Unnecessary evil, maybe.
Kind of. Some found the new version way more watchable than it was for the last couple of years, calling the old BIP stale, flat, and boring.
Okay.
So for them, the shakeup worked.
Interesting. Any other points in its favor?
Well, some people appreciated the upgrade in living conditions. One user preferred seeing the contestants in comfortable living conditions rather than the old open-air bunk beds with no AC on a shitty beach. A practical point.
Fair enough. Maybe the contestants appreciated the AC.
Probably. And some commenters just had less patience for the negativity, basically saying, give it a chance, don't take a reality TV show that was failing so seriously. They argued society has become so annoying and the show had to modernize.
So a real split. Love it or hate it, pretty much.
Exactly. It perfectly illustrates that tightrope walk producers face. Try to innovate and attract new viewers, potentially alienating your loyal base, or stick with what works and risk becoming irrelevant. It's a tough spot.
Absolutely. And what this means for you, listening, is you get this ringside seat to see how delicate that balance is. Reality TV isn't static. It's constantly trying to adapt to competition, like Love Island, and audience tastes. And these fan discussions, even just passionate debates on Reddit, they really matter. They show producers what resonates, what falls flat, and ultimately what keeps people watching or makes them tune out. Your feedback, your engagement, it really does shape the future of these shows. #, outro.
So we covered a lot of ground today, really digging into the complex world of the Bachelor franchise. We started with that external pressure, right? The Bachelor Diversity Campaign pushing hard for real change, demanding things like a black lead, more BIPOC contestants overall, showing how audience voices can make a difference. Yeah, absolutely. And then we went behind the scenes into that world of intense secrecy. We looked at the NDAs, the contestants being totally unplugged from the world, those wild happy couple weekends with wigs and disguises, all showing the incredible lengths to go to control the narrative and maintain the show's mystique.
Totally. And finally, we dove headfirst into that fiery debate about Bachelor in Paradise. The huge production changes, the fan backlash about the editing, the setting, the casting, comparing it to Love Island, mixing the youngins and goldens, all showing how these shows are constantly trying, sometimes awkwardly, to evolve and compete.
You really get a much clearer picture now, I think, of this whole reality TV ecosystem. It's not just what happens on screen. It's societal pressure for change, it's tight control over information and image, and it's this constant negotiation with what the audience wants or what producers think the audience wants. Authenticity becomes this really slippery, valuable thing they're always trying to manage.
It really does make you wonder, though, doesn't it? As these shows keep changing, chasing the next trend, trying to keep up with shifting tastes, what does reality even mean in this context anymore?
That's the big question.
Yeah, and maybe more personally for us as viewers, how much actual reality are we willing to trade away? For the sake of more drama or perfect romance or just a slicker, shinier new look. Something to think about next time you tune in.